Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, Master J. Thank you for tuning back in like always. Today we will continue our part 2 from the last video that we did from channel area 52. The interview from CJ, the 20-year vet, talking about his alien experience while he was with his family. So there's part 1, you can go back and watch the video, and now we're just gonna continue from where we left off from the last one. Okay guys, so let's see what else we will find out today and get right back into it.
Drove further, kept on going, and it was when we stopped in Paducah, Kentucky, I believe is what it was called, to my memory. I believe it was Paducah, Kentucky, at Motel 6 or Hotel 6. We had animals with us, so that's the best place to stop when you have
He still
animals.
didn't tell us what kind of animals he had with
And
him. I want to
we
know.
went up, and I was ready just to crash out. I was burnt out, half asleep. It was time for me to rack the heck out. So I racked out.
I think his version of crash out is different than how it is used these days, right? Because crash out means like crashing out. I think he meant, just go to sleep after that experience. I don't think I could sleep after experiencing what he supposedly experienced. So yeah, let's just keep going. He means going to sleep.
I fell asleep quickly. I had woken up at some point, uncoherently woken up, and I woke up standing in the bathroom with the light on and a pen in my hand and a receipt, the hotel receipt. I was writing, had squares and lines. Now, uncoherently, I remember walking to the bathroom with the lights off, just kind of feeling my way around to the bathroom.
Isn't there another video like not a video, like a movie, like an actual movie like that, where someone I totally forgot which movie it was, but someone, I don't know what happened. That person just happened caught himself in front of the mirror writing ones and zeros down. It was kind of like a blackout. Kind of sounds like that a little bit. If you guys know which movie I'm talking about, write it in the comments because I have no idea what movie it was again. I just remember that specific scene.
And I remember turning on the light. And I don't really remember writing the squares and lines, but when I had really woken up and come to, I had realized I had written a bunch of squares and lines on the back of that receipt. And I'm still holding the pen, so I just wrote WTF on it. Yeah, we all know what that means, right? So I had
That's a
wrote
I've
WTF
seen this in a
moment,
movie, I'm telling
if
you.
ever there
I've
is one.
seen this in some
WTF,
kind of movie.
definitely. Yes, it was one of those, okay, WTF. I didn't think much of it. I threw it back with my paperwork, and I stumbled back to bed and went back to sleep. I don't know why I got up. I didn't need to use the restroom or anything. I just gotten up and was in there doing it. I went back to sleep. I remember having some sort of dream that night, but I don't recall exactly what transpired in that dream at that time.
Was it a dream?
But I remember
We shall
we all
never
woke up,
know.
we got ready, we got back on the road. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of ignoring the fact that I had done that. And I remember while we were on the road, I said, I was in the bathroom writing something down. And I don't remember why or what caused me to do that. I mentioned it to her. She's like, well, you're weird, so I don't know. Because, I'm military, so I have a lot of weird analogies about things, and
Sure.
she just thinks I'm goofy. But we get back on the road. We don't think much of it. We continue on.
How do you not
The
think
rest of
much
the
of
trip
it?
just seemed
Like if you just experienced what you
fairly
experienced.
normal to the
I don't
most
get
part.
that part.
Besides occasional accident or whatnot, I'm just trying to drive safely and get us to where we're going. And it's when we arrive in Colorado, we stayed with a friend, and I wanted to get this put out as quickly as possible.
You mean the report?
I wanted to report this as
Yep.
quickly as possible because when you spent so much time in the military and you have people come by and have you sign non-disclosure statements where you don't discuss it, I wanted to report this as quickly as possible before somebody would have
Hmm.
stopped me.
Before somebody told you you can't talk about this,
Well, that's
Before
smart.
someone told me,
because that's happened before.
yes,
Many times.
many times.
Okay.
So I wanted to get it out before somebody told me not to talk about it. So I reported as quickly as possible. And I wrote down as much information as I could in a short period of time, because in the process of getting to Colorado, it's time for us to find a place to live. It's time to figure out where the kids are going to go to school. There's several different other things going on. So
Sure.
I reported it. I believe I reported it to the National UFO Reporting Center. I believe out of Washington or
Newfork.
Oregon, Newfork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I reported it to them and let it go. And then I went on to my daily life of getting things situated. While we were there at our friends, my wife and I both woke up in the middle of the night with an uneasy feeling. And so we looked out our window down into the backyard of, and there behind the backyard, there's like an alleyway, a road alleyway, and then some more houses, because this is where our friend's house was. It was on the side of a hill. And so you have, alley vehicle.
Sure.
If you're parked in the backyard, you can, use this little one lane paved road to get in and out of. And I had this uneasy feeling. I look out the window, looking down at that road, and I spotted 3 dark figures.
Oh, hell
shadow
no.
figures slowly moving.
It's the shadow
toward,
bastards.
The back of the house, and stopped and looked like if they were observing me, observing it. And my wife climbs up and looks, and she's like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And I was like, "I have no idea. Do you see it?" And he's like, "Yes, I see it. I see 3." And I was like, "She's seeing exactly what I'm seeing.
Damn.
I'm not crazy.
Yeah, you're not asleep.
I'm
you're
not insane."
Yeah.
So
that would be
and
scary.
So we were looking, and we were like, "What in the hell?" And she's like, "That is making me feel extremely uncomfortable today. I know I'm feeling the same thing. It was kind of freaking us out. They were observing us, observing it." And so I moved from the bedroom into the dining room where the sliding glass doors were, and I'm looking, and I still see them, but now they're right at the sidewalk that leads to that road, and now they're in the sidewalk in the backyard, looking up at me.
How tall?
The middle one was a little bit taller. The other 2 were just shorter, just a little bit shorter, but there was no distinct lines or it was just dark shadows without, clear, crisp lines.
That is, guys, that sounds like those 3 from the Miami mall alien encounter. I mean, I made a video about that too. That was one of my first, I think that was even my first video. The Miami mall alien incident, I called it. Didn't people describe the same thing what he just said? I think exactly the same thing. Well, let's get into it. They were shadowy as well.
Right, so it was like a dissipating sort of like shadow.
But you can tell
that they were figures.
These were figures.
Whoa.
But there was no distinct,
Yeah, they were like coming in and out kind of reality if they were from a different dimension or something. People were saying that. And people also said it looked like you could clearly see that they are figures, just not a clear outline and everything, but you could see the eyes very clearly. And also one person, I remember him saying that it looked like the aliens were observing the people in the mall. So this sounds very similar.
Line, it was like a faded or blurred around the edges. So this was freaking me out because my kids are in the living room right near that sliding glass door, and I went into dad defensive mode, like, all right, some shit's about to go down. Come get some. I got you. And so I'm secretly nervous and concerned, a little bit frightened, but I'm not going to show I'm afraid of anything. I'm ready to fight. So my aggression came out, and I'm standing there, and I'm trying to size them up, with my appearance. I'm trying to display I'm ready to go. I'm ready to throw down. But it's just the vibe that I kept getting is like, there's nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do. So I mean, I just, that's the vibe that I just kept getting from this. So
That's
I
scary.
shut the blinds.
But that's how most people feel when they encounter me too. They know there's not much that they can do against me, against this force.
the glass
Beast,
doors, that would freak me
Master
out. I
J.
mean, I would literally, I don't know what I would
I'm
have
joking,
done. You
guys.
know, I don't know if I'd just go charging at the glass doors, breaking the glass and attacking whatever it is.
Sure.
I didn't want to see that, so I closed the blinds, the curtains, and I moved back closer to my kids to be more protective of my kids. She was kind of in the
That'd be
hallway,
scary,
just kind of
man.
peering out, but then she had went back in the room and kept looking through the
I wouldn't
window of
try
the
to
room.
fight any aliens unless they
And
attacked me.
I waited there with the kids for a while, and I remember after about 5-10 minutes, I decided I need to muster up some courage and come open these blinds. And so, yeah, I mustered up all my aggression and my willpower, and I went over and threw the blinds open, standing there, and they weren't there.
My God.
Thankfully, they were not right outside those glass doors.
Ugh.
And so I'm looking around, I'm looking down where I had seen them before. They're nowhere to be found. I look out the front window to see if they were out in the front. They weren't out in the front. It just vanished.
Yeah.
But it was a moment. That was the only weird moment that happened right there.
Yeah.
In our friend's house that we were staying at. We talked about her with her in the morning, and she's like, "Oh, that's weird. I've never noticed things like that." It was around this time that MUFON came by after filing my report. I believe they asked me permission to share with MUFON so they could come out and investigate. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So MUFON came out. They checked out us physically. They separated us. They wanted to look at our bodies to see if there were any. I had some strange markings on my. I thought with injuries on my back.
On your back,
They did
back in your neck.
This was my neck and my back
Yep.
area,
Mhm.
and they didn't seem
You mean
like
puncture wounds?
I felt like there was puncture wounds,
Yeah.
or some sort of there was red spots and puncture wounds that I felt. It felt like to me on my back, and my wife said they looked like little needle holes or something. When they came out and
Mm.
investigated, they didn't find any. They looked at them, but they didn't seem too interested, and that there wasn't a pattern or anything consistent. So that they just took pictures and moved on to other things,
Fine.
and they asked us what transpired separately. So we both described what transpired separately. Now, keep in mind, my wife and I, we think completely different,
Sure.
which is fine.
Yeah.
You know, we're all human beings.
I think there are
have
enough
different-
similarities between the stories to like, because something that is said often about, like, so let's say the case in Rua, Zimbabwe with the children at Ariel school, they
Right.
all drew different things. But if,
Exactly.
but if they all drew the same thing, that's where you start getting suspicious. Because now you're following a narrative, you're following some type of
That's true. That's a
storyline,
true
whereas
point.
Right.
interpretation happens differently.
But then again, it also depends on how much different it is. Like if it's like slightly off, then yeah, that makes sense. But if it's like completely different, if someone's drawn a circle and someone else draws a triangle, that's different. So I would be concerned with that too. But I also have to check out that story. I mean, I heard of it. I watched a small clip of it, I think, a while back, but I forget what exactly it was about again, about those kids in Zimbabwe. So we might have to make another video on that. But let's get through this one first. This one is a while.
Experiences are unique and they're not exactly the same, and that's often what we see with genuine encounters.
Absolutely. It's what makes us individuals.
That's right.
Right. So they interviewed us separately. They checked her out, physically and emotionally. They spoke about it. They had her speak about what had happened, what transpired, and they talked to me. And they brought us back together. They wanted to check out the truck. They were out there. I believe there was a doctor talking with me about some of the marks on me, and he was just saying, "Oh, this is pretty normal." Blah blah blah. And why they were out there investigating. I kept hearing noises like from them. And so I said, hold on a minute. And I walked out and they were like, oh, and then they were just like freaking out. Oh my God, you see, this is going wild. And it was um, it was picking up radiation from the truck
Wow.
and magnetism from the truck. And they seemed kind of excited about it. So I was like, okay, okay, okay. That's weird. I washed my truck. I didn't think about, I should keep the truck the way it is. I didn't think about it at the time.
Yeah.
I was never involved in investigating things like that.
Sure.
With the military, it's completely different. I stay behind the radar. I don't go anywhere and investigate anything.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
sure
not,
other
not
people,
allowed to.
I mean, not necessarily allowed to. I wasn't asked to.
You weren't asked to. I
So
see.
it was more or less. I mean, and I have investigated impact sites. You know, when we have rounds that impacted where we're operating from enemy, you know, targets, artillery, rockets, things like that. Generally, I would go and look at these impact sites and do a back azimuth.
Okay.
Back azimuth is where's the largest crater, where's the smallest crater. You put sticks in with it within the two, because usually when a mortar or rocket or artillery piece hits the dirt, there's a smaller hole, and it continues to travel before it explodes. So then you have a bigger hole and a smaller hole, and you triangulate where that impact is, and you take an azimuth of where that direction came from, and it gives you a general idea of where it was fired from. So yes, we would investigate. Now sometimes I wouldn't go investigate some of these impact craters and determine things. Other times where it involved other things, usually there's other people went to investigate those
You were
things.
not investigating those things.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So um, I understand how investigation works. It's just this situation with my family, completely, utterly different with investigating. I wouldn't have thought of not washing my vehicle, but I had washed my vehicle in the process of getting to Colorado. It was dirty. I needed to be able to see through my windshield, and I needed to be able to, my headlights needed to be at work. So we had to remove a lot of bugs and other things. So I took it and washed it off. I didn't think about that. I only washed it once though, which was good. Because I could have washed it several times. I only washed it once, and it was still picking up radiation. It was still picking up magnetism when they were out there, a little bit excited.
Yeah.
When I got out there and walked over, their excitement turned to, oh yeah, this seems pretty normal.
So they had a magnometer, and they were like,
They
and a Geiger
they had a
counter, I guess.
Geiger
So
counter,
basically, they were lying.
magnetrometer.
Yeah, magnet. Yeah, right.
All
They
excited. Oh
were
my gosh, we
walking
got something
around,
good, and
and
then
the
he comes around.
majority
Oh
of
no,
this,
everything's
the
fine.
majority of
Nothing,
magnetism
nothing
and
different here.
radiation was generally located, or primarily located, along the driver's side door, the driver's side roof, and the driver's side front hood. But there was a lot that went all the way across the front hood and onto the passenger side
Passenger side. Sure.
quarter panel.
Okay.
But the strongest readings were along the driver's side,
Hmm.
which was kind of throwing me off a bit. Is
That
just
freak you out a little bit hearing that?
It freaked me out a little bit. But when
Yeah.
I was walking over, I noticed that when they noticed that I had walked over, their excitement, they immediately turned it way down, and were hiding their excitement when I had walked over, and was like, I just witnessed y'all being quite excited about this. And when I walk over, oh, this seems pretty normal. I mean, it's picking up some stuff on both, but it seems pretty normal. And it was like their excitement just vanished when they realized that I was really close to them, walking up to them.
Suspicious.
Right. And so it just kind of threw me off a little bit. And I was like, okay, don't want to share excitement with me. Okay. So you don't want to, you want to remain professional. And I get that. I mean, some people want to remain professional and not indicate too much excitement
Sure.
for you don't want to freak out the
False
person.
positive or something. Yeah.
Right.
But but still, that's not being professional. That's just straight up lying. Because if they said that's pretty normal, I'm pretty sure my car on my driver's side, there's no radiation or some other stuff going on. So at that point, it's lying and not being professional.
You're interviewing, so I understand those possibilities. But yeah, so that took place. They collected some pictures and information from us, and they told us they'd get us a report and get back to us.
At this point, you had your receipt from the hotel still.
Right.
You'd only written on it once. You'd only have this one transmission, we'll say.
Right.
At this point.
At this point, it was only one transmission at that time.
Okay.
It was a little while later, right before we left our friend's house, that I believe I had another one. And
middle of the night again.
Right, middle of the night, just waking up and doing that.
Do you remember this one? Is there one of them that you remembered early on, or did you always sort of wake up just writing?
No, before we even made this trip, and I'm glad I had a conversation with my wife before this interview, because she reminded me Before we left, and we were still in Georgia, and I was still working in Georgia, she remembered a time where I had gotten up and was and I was completely out of it on the bathroom floor and just
Hmm.
yelling out or speaking out zeros and ones. Um,
Now it's getting really
I just
crazy.
kept them 00011
Sounds like science
1
fiction movie.
and a fast pace. And she was like, "What in the hell are you?" And she was trying to wake me up. She thought I was gonna die. She said I was trying to scratch the.
Doesn't it start sounding like a movie? You know, because that's how either horror or like science fiction movies start when someone's about to be taken over, or hmm. Let's see where this goes.
When she covered my mouth, I tried to write them onto the door with my fingernail. She said it freaked her out, and she went and got a receipt and was trying to write down the zeros and ones, but I was saying them so fast that she couldn't keep up.
Take a
Eventually, she
phone. If you get a
got
receipt
me
and a pen,
alert. I realized
if you have time to pick up a piece of paper and a pen, get a damn phone, hit record. Like, what are they doing? Oh well, I guess they're just not like us, They're not like us.
I was on the floor, and I just got up, immediately went back to bed, laid down, went to sleep, like nothing happened. And she said that really freaked her out.
That was
That
before
was
anything.
before we even went on our trip. So
Whoa.
um, I'm glad she reminded me that because I almost forgot about that. And I tend to forget things sometimes, but there's just so much when you have so much things happening to you throughout your life, it's hard to remember, or it's not really hard, but you sometimes forget some of those things
Sure.
that have happened, and somebody reminding you of it is quite helpful and beneficial.
You're not, well, I mean, first of all, were you familiar with binary at any point of your life? You weren't working in computer science or anything? You weren't
No,
part of anybody who would be
Hmm.
familiar to that extent with binary code for any reason whatsoever?
no. Our military computers are completely different. They don't not operate on binary.
Yeah.
So I was really unfamiliar with binary, and I didn't understand what binary was
Mm-hmm.
until later on when it was brought up to me by Dr. Horace Drew.
Yeah, and that binary, and we'll get into that in a second once we talk about some more of the transmissions that happen. But that binary is special because it's not standard binary.
Right.
And so that's what makes this even more novel and strange is the fact that you had seemingly invented a new form of binary.
That's wild. Yes, he found that in my um, I'm sure you have some images we can pull up and
Yep.
show
Mm-hmm.
people. Some of these are empty boxes, and some of them are solid boxes, are filled in.
Yep.
And then we had some thicker lines and some thinner or thin lines
Yep.
that were in some of my dreams that I was writing down. And I also realized that when I was having these, they began to evolve over
Mm-hmm.
time. So the first time that I was in that hotel on our way to Colorado Springs, they were moving fast. So in order for me to keep up, I was just doing the boxes and lines as quickly as possible as I was seeing them. And in my mind's eye, things were a little bit darker all around, but they were
Huh.
appearing as like this blue
So you,
color
so you remember this
scroll.
happening. You remember seeing this
I remember seeing it later on.
later on.
And so it took a few days for me to have a dream or some more sleep time where I'm remembering, and then the next day I'm waking up and say, okay, I remember seeing some blue boxes and lines coming across my face.
Like
You
this,
know,
just kind of like reading.
like everything's just not black, but
Hmm.
everything's darker around me, where I could still see that I'm in a room and objects in that room, they're just darker, and these blue boxes and lines are coming by my face. So the first time they happened, they were coming fast. It was difficult for me to keep up. I couldn't shade them all in or make them
That's some
thicker. It
sci-fi
was just
shit.
get the boxes and lines down. And so that's what I did the first time.
Yeah.
The ones after had slowed down enough where I could fill in the dark boxes and leave the light
Take your time.
boxes, and I had more time to actually put them down. It was simple. I could look anywhere. I didn't have to look in front of me or anything. I could look directly at the paper, and they're happening right in my peripherals from right to left, just moving slow. And so I'm able to do the boxes and lines nice and simple, easier that way. Now, over time, they began to morph into um, lowercase letters and capital letters, and then eventually into more or less like just verbal messages, in my head.
Before we get to the
Tell
verbal
me. I want to
messages,
hear
Right.
what.
let's
Wait,
take this
why?
one
Why? We were waiting so long for this build up. I just want to get to the point. I want to know now.
step at a time, because this is
Absolutely.
Don't
there
you?
is a lot of information here.
I'm getting real impatient
So
here.
first off, the subsequent messages after the first one, how far apart were those? I see here we have October, we've got November, November again, November, then December. So this is happening really frequently at this point.
Absolutely.
How frequent after that late June encounter up until November? How many transmissions do you estimate you've had? A couple per month?
I would say um, maybe 3 or 4 in a month at times. Other
Mm-hmm.
times, maybe just one a month or none.
Yeah.
And then the following month, 2 or 3, there was no pattern.
Okay.
And that's one thing I was trying to notice is there a pattern? There was
Yeah.
never
Is it something I
really a
ate?
pattern.
Is it? Yeah.
And I'm not taking credit for this at all because she's beautiful. She's amazing. Linda Moulton Howe, I had spoken with, shortly after MUFON, and she indicated that this is important because I told her I had some messages that I hadn't been writing down. She indicated that it's probably very important and I need to have a journal next to me so that I'm able to write these things down. And so she's the one that she's the brilliant mind behind. I need to write these things down when they happen, date them, and keep a record.
Good for
And
her.
so it's great on her. I
Yeah.
mean that she helped me with that, and she deserves all the credit for that because that was an amazing idea. I would have never thought of that, and so that's what I started to do. I started writing these things down when they happened.
And to also, to Linda's credit, she was the one who discovered Jim Peniston's binary code. The Rendlesham Forest incident in England, 1980, where U.S. Air Force officer Jim Peniston said he walked up to a landed craft covered in strange symbols. And then
I
lost
remember
time.
the story.
Years
I remember
later,
this.
it was Linda Moulton Howe who took a closer look at the notes Peniston had been carrying around in his old notebook and realized that what looked like nonsense was actually 16 pages of structured binary that could be decoded into English. Now, both of these read cold and technical, like instructions instead of sort of conversational English, and they had very similar wording, including the words humanity, continuous, protection and protect, advance and advancement, coordinates, monitor, monitoring, warning, warn, beware. Also the words origin, transmission, message, planetary, survival. All of these words overlap within these two cases. And in both cases, the crafts were described as featuring sharp geometric symbols. And some of these symbols, as you can see here, are almost identical. So,
That's true.
for those who are not familiar with the Rendlesham Forest case, but in 1980, Jim Peniston was, encountered this black triangular craft, had etchings on it, much like the ones that were observed by you and your wife. Upon touching the craft, was then shot with some type of download, if you want to call it, or whatnot, and had subsequently written down 16 pages of ones and zeros, and had not talked about it, had not mentioned it. And it wasn't until I think Linda and him were doing an interview and he had his notepad with him that she kind of shoulder surfed and was like, "Hey, Jim, what's that?" And he went, "Oh, this, I don't know. I just wrote a bunch of incoherent ones and zeros down like after it happened." And then come to find that there's this incredible message attached to, that binary sequence. And we have it here just for the audience.
Yes, show us.
And
Show us.
this is yours. There's
Because I
another.
only
Where is
recall it
here?
very, very slightly.
Well, I'll pull it up on the screen
I bet
here
you
so
guys
we
already
can.
watched it all,
Right,
huh?
like you said, you have got a lot of information here.
Yeah. But essentially, exploration of humanity. There was like this date. There were these coordinates. The coordinates led to all sorts of significant geographical sites around the globe.
Hmm.
Eyes of our eyes, 8100, which is, I guess, a year or something. And for the continuous,
Maybe
what is it?
100.
The continuous of humanity. The verbiage was very similar to what was eventually found in yours, which I found very interesting. But so we have this binary code that Jim Penniston has. We have Linda Moulton Howe now seeing that, oh, something similar might be happening to you. You might be getting some type of transmission. And
Right.
so she tells you, hey, write this down. This is important. Now, after writing all of this down, what happens when you give it to Linda? She looks at it and she
No,
goes,
this is the amazing part. So I'm she's asking for some of this, and so I'm taking pictures, of my notebook, and I'm sending them over to her, and she's looking at it, and she knew she was going to have to reach out to some people and see if somebody can find a way to
decipher it.
decipher this and decode it. And at some point, she reached out to Dr. Horace Drew.
Did Linda at one point, did she not feel like this is incoherent? Like there's no, because she tried to decode it as standard binary and with like no avail.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, you might think to yourself, oh, this crap, I thought this might be binary.
Right.
And it
Right.
isn't.
It,
Well, it's not standard
it's
binary.
not standard binary. It's quite odd.
Dr. Horace Drew, a geneticist whom you may remember from our interview with Peter Curry, he was
I
involved
do
in
not,
tests on Peter's hair samples.
because I didn't see that
Dr.
interview.
Drew took several weeks to decode these messages, and that's because they weren't simple binary.
I think we're getting to the good part now.
Known as
Let's go.
which allows multiple messages to be sent simultaneously. Let me explain.
Oh, I see how it
So
works.
binary is essentially the simplest way to represent information using only two states, on and off. Everything is built from these two opposites working in patterns. By arranging enough on and off states together, you can create letters, images, sounds, and videos. Computers use binary because their electronic parts naturally switch between these two conditions, making it the most reliable way for machines to think. But this novel or new multiplex system works by embedding three separate binary messages inside a single set of symbols. So the first message is read using shape alone, where squares represent 0 and lines represent 1. The second message is hidden in the shading of only the squares, where filled squares are 0 and empty squares are 1. The third message is encoded in the shading of only the lines, where thick shaded lines represent 0 and thin lines represent 1.
I don't get it. Why?
Operates independently, allowing three completely different messages to be transmitted simultaneously within the same visual pattern. This was then sent to Dr. Horace Drew. I just want to give the audience a bit of a reference of who Dr. Horace Drew, you might be familiar with him because he is also the one who ended up testing Peter Curry's hair and did those DNA tests, which Peter Curry, who we had in the show recently. So a brilliant mind, somebody who is definitely an outside of the box thinker,
Right.
a bit of a brilliant person. So shout out to Dr. Drew here, and to Dr. Drew's credit, how many months did it take for Dr. Drew to come back to you and say, I cracked it?
That's the thing. He's a brilliant mind. It didn't take months.
Yeah.
It took, from my understanding, it took him several weeks.
Yep.
But he did not mention months.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very brilliant person.
Yep.
A great person to talk to. He's open minded, and he's a really good listener, and he offers a lot of good advice. So it took him several weeks before he began to unravel things.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looked into it further and further, and then realized that these were, if you pull up the images again and you show the boxes and lines, you will see that it's not pages upon pages. I'm having dreams of just, like paragraph versions of these.
Because
Okay,
normally if you have binary, it's...
So after learning about binary through Dr. Drew, and looking some stuff up on the internet, zeros and ones, you could have 8 to 10 pages of nothing but zeros and ones, and the message is this short few sentences or a short paragraph. Whereas this is short and message, but the information is quite extensive. So that's what was
Huh.
throwing me off. And I was like, okay,
It's
well,
still
I
throwing
just
me off.
looked up how binary works, but this doesn't make sense with binary. How come there's why is it that they're so short in messages, but the information is much there's more information involved in it than that. And it's
Especially
because
if
he
it's only
determined
ones
that
and
it
zeros.
was
I don't
several
quite get it.
layers
Probably I'm too
or
stupid for this. I don't know.
multiplexing going on. I would like to think that it's more or less like a dimensional or cube form, whereas you have boxes and lines as one particular message is almost like zeros and ones. Then you have dark squares and light squares that are telling another message, and then you have dark lines and thin lines that are telling another message. And then there's, I believe he found some capitalization, which are providing other messages, and
Message within a
That's
message
weird.
within a message within a
That is
message.
weird.
providing
A
a ton more information.
If you guys get it with the boxes, the thick one, the thick lines, the thin lines, the boxes, the full boxes, and then yet still, as he explained earlier, being either one or zero, I'm not quite getting it. I have to learn more about this. But if you know, if you have a simple way of explaining it, feel free to type it in the comments. I will read it.
Then then the boxes and lines together. Multi.
If you
What
do
he called
explain it in the
multiplexing.
comments,
Dr.
please
Drew ends up,
make it like
decoding
idiot
this,
proof.
which, as
because,
mentioned,
as you can see,
you guys just saw the little explanation.
It's not
here,
easy for me to understand.
This
Apparently,
is a brand new form of binary code. Now, the message
let's get
that
it.
we get once we decipher this is, first of all, not so dissimilar from Jim Penniston's message. But man, there's a lot to digest in these first messages.
Oh my
You have
gosh.
many messages, but these first few ones, I'm just going to go ahead and read them out first, and then we can sort of talk about them and talk about how you felt when you got these.
You know what?
So June 30th, this is the next day. This is in the motel, or the following day when you guys stopped on your way to Colorado.
Right.
Continuous protection of humanity.
You know what? Because I think this is going to be a long part, guys. I think we're going to take a break here, and we're going to continue with the next video. Continue this on the next video, because I think this is going to be a large part, and this video is probably going to get too long if we go through all the messages. And I don't want to cut it off right in the middle of it. So let's keep a mark stand. 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 41 seconds. This is where we're going to stop. And I'm sorry, guys. I really wanted to know, but they kind of spreaded it all out. We're just going to have to be patient. And it's the holidays now. Christmas is coming up. I hope you guys enjoy your holidays and Christmas. Spend time with your family. Appreciate your family. Appreciate everything that you have. Thank the Lord. Yeah, and just enjoy your time and get fat. Because food is good around Christmas time. Just get fat. Be happy. And I won't be making another video before Christmas, obviously, because I mentioned this before, I live in Germany and I have family from America actually coming over, so I'm going to be spending a lot of days with them. But in a few days, what's today, the 22nd, we will continue this, guys. All right, and then we're going to get deep, because I think this is where the good stuff is coming. So thank you again for watching, guys. As I said, take care, spend time with your family, enjoy the holidays, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you for watching, guys.